Hi, and welcome to another Type with me. In this week's episode, I want to talk about high order TypeScript or hotscript. So if I go to the GitHub page, I see higher order TypeScript. And that's a library of composable functions for the type level. So you can very easily use that just to construct and transform your TypeScript types in any way you want using functions you already know. So for that regard, I'm going to show you that, for example, this one starts with a 7. Then we say I want to have tuples.range 1, 2, underscore, and underscore would be 7. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Then we can say I just want to take the first two ones. So it takes 1 and 2. And then we're going to map 1 to fire and 2 to paper. And then we say, hey, I want to join it with hotscript. And then you have fire, hotscript, and then paper. Fire, hotscript, and then paper. So if you're going to test this out, you will see here that we start with 1, 2, 3, and 4. And if you go and hover over res1, you'll see that it takes or makes 4, 5, 6, and 7 out of that. And that's because we have tuples.map numbers.add 3. You see here that we then add 1 plus 3, 2 plus 3 is 5, 3 plus 3 is 6, and 4 plus 3 is 7. So we can really manipulate what our type should be. So now adding one step would be tuples.join dots, and now our type is 4, 5, 6, 7. So if you now extend it a little bit with some extra rules, you will see here that we get a first we prepend 1 for it. So we have 14, 15, 16, 17, and then we can change it to a number. Then you will see here, hey, we have 14, 15, 16, and 17. Another thing that we could do now is do tuples dot to sum, for example, right? And then you'll see here that we get 62. So one thing that I really would advise you to do is just play around within your code editor, in my case Visual Studio Code, and then just see what it does. So for example, here you see that we have tuples.map.duplicate, and so we start with 1, 2, 3, 4, and now we can just duplicate and create 1, 1, 2, 2, 3, 3, 4, 4 out of that. Another thing that you could do then is to say, okay, we want to start from tuple.flatmap. Right? So here we have just tuples.map, and here we have just tuples.flatmap. And we start with 1, 2, 3, 4, and it creates 1, 1, 2, 2, 3, 3, 4, 4. So it's great because then now you can very easily check out what it is going to do with that, right? So for me, that's really nice. I really like that. That's the way how I try to test packages like hotscript. Just play around with it and see what it could do for you. Okay, like you see here, we use duplicate, and duplicate extends function. A function is something within hotscript, and then we can say here, hey, this.argument 0, this.argument 0 to just duplicate things. If, for example, you want to do something like this, then of course you will see that he creates something like this, right? So you have 1, 1, 1, 2, 2, 2, 3, 3, 3, 4, 4, 4. So we get 3 items there, right? So it's great to play around with it. It can do cool stuff. Try to familiarize yourself a little bit with it. For me, it's something that I'm trying to do. Just paste an example and then play around with it and see what you can do, how you can manipulate things around that. Another cool thing that you could do, for example, is just say, hey, I don't want to do it like that. What I want to do something is maybe gonna check first. Right, so it's indeed results 1, 2, 3. So I guess return is very important in here. So just play around with it and try to understand it yourself by just manipulating example code. In this regard, I am going to try to manipulate certain things. Of course, what I get here is T is declared but never used, duplicate identifier T, which is strange. I want to do something like this, API call. So, for example, this one, well, we create something like t.api payload, which is from type T, and then we say, hey, we want to manipulate what's in T, right? In this regard, it could be something like this. It's just an ID, a first name and a last name. And if you see here, he creates something out of this, right? He says, hey, I have an ID, I have a metadata new underscore user, which is true. And then we have first underscore name and then last underscore name. And that's because I think here we say we assign a new property metadata new user true. We say that our objects need to be snake case deep. So everything needs to be with underscores, right? And not with first name and last name. And then we say also that our API payload always needs to have an ID, which is also great because then we can say, okay, we create a payload. Payload always needs to have as metadata new users or new user right here. And we see it right here. Metadata new underscore user true. If I say something like this, so object.assign is just something that we always provide. So what I could do now is say, hey, I want to have something like this, UID, comma, ARP, should be a number, and then of course I get something like this, UID and ARP. ARP flow. If I now go over it, I get ARP flow and not ARP underscore flow. And the reason why that is because we assigned it after the snake case deep. That's something also very important to know, is that we need to move it before it. If I now save it and I now go over it, you see that we have ARP underscore flow. So the order for this is very important, right? If you go a little bit deeper now and you go over to T, here you have what it should return, but okay. Something that we already know, right? So another example that we had from, the GitHub page is this one. It's also a very nice one because we start from a part. And we say, okay, we want to split the strings with slash. So we have users, ID string, post, and index number. Then we say here tuples.filter strings.start with, and then this symbol, right? Then we get this line, and then we get this line, which is a nice one. Then we say, hey, we want to have tuples.map compose left, string with this and this, and a string with this and this. So I'm just gonna, because it's always nice to just move away from it, and I try to just move it away, and then we will see what the result will be, and then we have right ID and string. Another thing that I'm just gonna put away right here is now this. So of course we can then also do this, and then we get here, hey, we have empty string, users, and then ID string, posts, and so on. So now I say here I want to start with that symbol, so we get these two ones like I said before. Then we say, hey, I want to have compose left string trim that and that. So I guess he will just remove these symbols, and he did. So we have just ID and string and index and number, right? If I now go a little bit further and can do something like this to union. Of course, I need to put this away. Then we go over it, we just get ID string index number, and then say object dot from entities, and we got ID needs to be string, index needs to be number, which is strange because these are just strings, right? So we now need to say, okay, object dot map value. Then you do a match. You say, hey, I want to have, if we have string as a string, right? We need to change it to string as a type. Same thing with match with number. We change it with the type number. So in that regard, I really like it. I think it could really help to identify a little bit better or create better APIs, better libraries, and so on by just manipulating and transforming the types on this level. Still a little bit, yeah, searching your way through it because it's not intuitive. You are not, used to work with these kind of syntaxes, but in my regard, it's I think something very useful and very nice to explore a little bit further. So I hope you enjoyed my talk. I hope you had something that I told you about. Please play around with hotscript. The link is in the description below. Give this a thumbs up if you like it, and otherwise I see you next time. Bye.